What is up, YouTube? Today I'm going to rank all the 7 stars in All-Star Tower Defense. I'll be looking at them based on strength in Infinite mode, strength in Raid or Story mode, difficulty to obtain, and the personal opinion if anybody ties. As of January 2023, there are 13 7 stars in the game, being Metacooler, Zoro, Broly, Perfect Cell, Blue Evolved Vegeta, Beast Gohan, Diablo, Sasuke, Naruto, Princess Apollo, Ichigo Katakuri, and Mob. Make sure to subscribe, as I'm getting close to 700 subscribers, and let's get into the rankings. So at number 13, we have Perfect Cell. He's one of the hardest 7 stars to grind for, and he doesn't really offer anything useful for that. He's good in Infinite mode, but there's a ton of other 7 stars that are just way better than him. And he's kind of mediocre in Raids and Story, especially compared to the Stardust banner characters. And overall, he just really doesn't feel worth the heavy grind you have to do to get him. At number 12, we have Zoro, and he is one of my favorites in terms of design, but he doesn't offer a lot. Because Denji, who's a 6 star from the Christmas event, he kind of makes him completely useless because he just out-damages him with the bleed. And he's alright in raids, but he also gets outshined. So, I mean, he's good for Infinite, but I hope they buff him in the future to be better than Denji. At number 11, we have Naruto, and starting now we're getting into 7 stars that I would personally recommend getting, and these guys are pretty useful. So Naruto was tier 100 of the free star pass, so you can't get him anymore with the new star pass, but it is certainly good for raid mode. And when you pair him with Sasuke, you can actually make the Beast Summoner, which is a big benefit to both of them for Infinite, but by himself, he's just decent for Infinite, and the rest of the 7 stars outshine him. At number 10, we have Princess Apollo, and she is definitely good, and one of the easiest 7 stars to get if you already have Cooler, so I'd recommend getting for her. She does really good damage, both in Story and Infinite, and she has the exact same ability as Rimuru, except it doesn't work on cloners. This drawback is kind of counteracted by her being able to get the ability for much cheaper. I think it's only like 4k, and that can be very useful in raids. Solid unit overall. Number 9, we have Diablo, and this is where the rankings start to get tough as units start becoming like very strong for their own specific reasons. And while Diablo is an amazing support unit for Infinite, and he is leaderboard meta, but this list is for like in general and for overall players, and most of which don't really care for leaderboard attempts. He does solid damage, but for his subpar performance in raids, I think he goes here. Number 8, we have Beast Gohan. He does really good damage, and it increases every wave up until its cap. One of the best DPS for Infinite in the game, but he is pretty bad in almost every other mode, making him just decent. I'd recommend grinding for him if you got him from the banner, but I wouldn't go out of my way to summon for him. At number 7, we have Ichigo, and Ichigo is really good at damage grinding, and he's pretty alright in raids as well. The only problem is to get him, you gotta go through the Soul Raid 14 times, and there's no chance of getting 2 drops from it like you can with other raids, so you gotta grind it a lot. And it's also a pretty difficult raid. It's probably the least fun to go through as well because you run into skip limit. But yeah, just like Gohan, I'd recommend grinding if you got him on the banner, but not go out of your way to get him. At number 6, we have Broly, and a lot of people would disagree with this, so I'll try to explain. Again, Broly is really good, but he's being compared to some others that just break the game. Amazing damage, and one of the best for damage farming in Infinite, but he really does nothing past that. He's not difficult to grind for, and just like the others, he is worth grinding for if you get him. And he is practically tied with the next spot, who only went out due to his better performance in raids. Which is number 5, Blue Evolved Vegeta. And he is very similar to Broly, very good damage with a full AoE, but the difference is you can place 8 of him while only 1 of Broly. So it makes him worse for damage grinding because you're not getting as much per hit, but better for reaching the highest wave in Infinite, so leaderboard, because all 8 have a little bit higher DPS than Broly. He's also very underrated in raids, like the ones with 19 waves, like the new one for Mob. He does 4 million damage every 7 seconds, if you give him the full buff and everything, for only 90k. And that sounds like a lot, but in those raids that have like up to 19 waves, you can actually get that pretty easily. You can max all 8 of them, especially if you have Universal Orb for Speedwagon. Number 4, we have Mob, and he's the newest 7 star in the game, and he's definitely very good. He's pretty undoubtedly the best damage character in terms of damage farm. A lot of players value damage farm a lot, because that's how you get, most of your gems. But even without his ability, he does DPS very close to Broly, but, it's only circle AoE instead of full AoE, and his range is kind of small. But with his 7.5 billion damage per unit ability, he is definitely meta for leaderboards and damage farm. And I would say he's better than Broly for raids, but probably not better than Vegeta. I will say, him, Broly, and Vegeta are very easily exchanged. They're all really close. Number 3, we have Sasuke, and he is, ridiculous for damage farming. Not as good as Mob, but his Black Flames tick for about 220 million damage over time, and since it's over time, it's really good for damage farming, but not as good as it could be. And yeah, again, amazing damage, and you can combine it with Naruto to get the Beast Summoner. And he hits airs for really cheap, and that's the biggest thing, is that raids he is really, really good in with the early Black Flames and early hitting airs. Number 2, we have Katakuri. He's meta in basically every mode, especially Infinite. Blackbeard, you could argue, is better for story or raid because of the smaller cost, but Katakuri is a much more reliable slow unit. Like, you know, with Blackbeard, maybe you might have decelerates or regens that are really quick that might slip by. But yeah, he's full AoE and 6 SPA. Basically every unit gets slowed except for air units, so yeah, for every leaderboard except the ones that have air units in them, he is definitely meta. And he's also pretty easy to get compared to the others. You only need 17 of his Raise Award, when some of them take up to 22. Number 1 best 7-star in the game is Metacooler. I don't think this really surprised anyone, and for Infinite players, he may not be the best, but he still does really good damage in Infinite with all of the clones. But he's a lot behind everyone else for Infinite. It's so broken that the devs had to nerf him twice, with the second one actually being reverted like minutes after the update because people were complaining about it. And the thing about Cooler is that since he makes the raids so easy, every other 7-star in the game is a lot easier to get after you get Cooler, which is what makes him so good. I'd recommend getting Cooler first as your first 7-star, and he makes getting the rest of them like super easy. This guy is meta, it is in his name. Alright, that's it for the rankings. There is 100% room to disagree with me here, as, you know, people might value a good character for Infinite mode more than I do, as I don't really play Infinite outside of damage grind. I do think it's pretty clear that Cell's the worst though, because he just kind of gets outshined for everything. No real reason to use him over anybody else, and he's way too hard to get. Other than that though, I think, yeah, everything is subjective, so feel free to leave your rankings in the comments, and I'll respond to a few. Thanks for watching, and see ya!